Welcome, dear thrill seekers and the curious, to the realm where the ordinary meets the eerie. Gather around for this next creepy tale. In the peaceful town of Villisca, nestled amidst the picturesque Iowa landscape of endless cornfields and close-knit communities, the Moore family lived as pillars of affluence and respectability. This family, consisting of parents Josiah B., aged 43, Sarah, aged 39, and their four beloved children, Herman Montgomery, age 11, Mary Catherine, age 10, Arthur Boyd, age 7, and Paul Vernon, age 5, had won the hearts of their neighbors and were esteemed members of their community. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon on June 9, 1912, young Mary Catherine Moore extended an innocent invitation that would set into motion a chain of events that would plunge Villisca into a dark abyss. She invited her friends, Ina May, 8, and Lena Gertrude Stillinger, 12, to spend the night at the Moore residence. What should have been an evening of youthful laughter and camaraderie would soon turn into a tale of unrelenting horror. The evening's festivities began at the local Presbyterian church, where the Moore family, along with the Stillinger sisters, eagerly participated in the Children's Day program. Sarah Moore had tirelessly coordinated the event, ensuring that every detail was perfect. The innocence of childhood illuminated the program, filling the hearts of all in attendance with warmth and joy. When the clock struck 9:30 p.m., signaling the program's end, the Moores and the Stillinger sisters, now bonded by shared experiences, embarked on a short journey back to the Moore household. Their arrival was marked between 9:45 and 10 p.m. As the night wore on, the town of Villisca lay enveloped in a seemingly peaceful slumber. However, a shadow was about to cast a long and sinister pall over this tranquil town. The morning of June 10, 1912, was ushered in by the gentle caress of dawn's first light. As daylight crept across the land, an unsettling stillness descended upon the Moore residence, casting an eerie silence over the usually bustling household. Mary Peckham, a concerned neighbor, began to sense that something was amiss. The Moore family, known for their punctuality in attending to their morning chores, had not yet emerged from their home. A growing sense of dread gnawed at Mary's heart, compelling her to take action. Summoning her courage, Mary Peckham approached the Moores' front door. She knocked with a sense of foreboding, but there was no response. Fueled by fear and maternal instinct, she attempted to turn the doorknob, only to find it locked, barring her from entry. Desperation swelled within her, and with trembling hands, she let the Moores' chickens out of their coop, as if trying to dispel the mounting tension that gripped her. Panic and dread now fully consumed her, and with trembling hands, she reached for her phone, determined to summon help. Her call reached Ross Moore, Josiah's brother, who lived nearby. Ross, spurred by Mary Peckham's frantic plea, rushed to the scene. Upon his arrival, he joined her in knocking urgently on the Moores' front door. Each resonating knock seemed to echo through the silent morning, yet there was no response from within. Shouting out the names of family members yielded nothing but an unsettling silence. With determination etched onto his face, Ross retrieved his copy of the house key. The lock gave way to his careful efforts, and the front door swung open to reveal the mysteries concealed within the Moore residence. While Mary Peckham stood trembling on the porch, Ross ventured further into the ominous stillness of the house. Ross's footsteps carried him toward the guest bedroom, and with each step, an unsettling sense of dread grew within him. The door to the guest room creaked open, revealing a sight that would haunt him for the rest of his days. Ina and Lena Stillinger, the visiting girls who had joined the Moore family for the night, lay lifeless upon the bed. Their youthful eyes, once filled with dreams and innocence, were now forever closed to the world. The room bore witness to a scene of unimaginable horror, one that would forever be etched into the memories of those who witnessed it. The shock and horror that enveloped Ross Moore were indescribable. He stumbled back from the room, his heart pounding in his chest. His voice quavered as he urged Mary Peckham to call for help immediately. Within moments, Henry Hank Horton, Villisca's primary peace officer, arrived at the scene. As he crossed the threshold into the house, an inexplicable chill coursed through him. The gruesome tableau before him told a story of unspeakable violence, a narrative that would soon haunt the collective consciousness of Villisca. Horton's search of the house revealed a horrifying truth: the entire Moore family, along with the two Stillinger girls, had been brutally bludgeoned to death. The murder weapon, a seemingly innocuous axe belonging to Josiah, was discovered in the guest room where the Stillinger sisters lay. As authorities delved deeper into the investigation, a chilling timeline of events began to emerge. Medical experts concluded that the murders had occurred between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. The unsettling revelation was that the killer, or killers, had patiently awaited their victims in the attic. Two spent cigarettes in the attic suggested that the perpetrator had bided their time, hidden from view, as the Moore family and their guests drifted into slumber. The horror had begun in the master bedroom, where Josiah and Sarah Moore had been sleeping. Josiah, in particular, had borne the brunt of the vicious assault, his face rendered unrecognizable by the sheer brutality of the blows. The ceiling above their bed bore a cruel gouge, a haunting testament to the savagery of the attack. Sarah had met a similarly grisly fate at the hands of the assailant, who had used the blade of the axe on her, leaving a scene of indescribable carnage. The children, Herman, Mary Catherine, Arthur, and Paul, were next to fall victim to the monster's rage, each suffering blows to the head mirroring the brutality inflicted upon their parents. The nightmarish narrative continued as the murderer returned to the master bedroom, unleashing further violence on the elder Moores, their room now a gruesome tableau of death. The wooden floor bore witness to a fallen shoe, a vessel filled with blood, and the lingering stench of unspeakable horror. Descending the stairs, the killer entered the guest bedroom, where Ina and Lena had sought refuge for the night. Their lives were extinguished with the same heartless brutality that had befallen the Moore family. In a haunting twist, a 4-pound slab of bacon from the Moore's icebox was discovered beside the murder weapon, a macabre detail that defied explanation. As investigators combed through the gruesome aftermath of the Villisca Axe Murders, one chilling fact became apparent: all victims, except for Lena Stillinger, had been asleep when the killer struck. Lena's lifeless body, positioned crosswise on the bed, bore the marks of a fierce struggle. Defensive wounds on her arm revealed that she had fought valiantly against her assailant. Further disturbing details emerged when Lena's nightgown was examined. Pushed up to her waist, and with no undergarments, it was apparent that the killer had violated her in unspeakable ways. The town's law enforcement speculated about the motives, contemplating whether the murderer had subjected Lena to sexual assault. However, this horrifying notion would later be debunked by evidence and further investigation. In the wake of the Villisca Axe Murders, a shroud of fear descended upon the town. The search for answers and justice began, giving rise to a web of suspicions and theories, each more unsettling than the last. Reverend George Kelly, an English-born traveling minister who had been in town on the night of the murders, emerged as an early suspect. Kelly, described as peculiar and haunted by a troubled past, was no stranger to controversy. He had faced accusations of peeping and inappropriate behavior with young women and girls. Kelly's presence in Villisca on the night of the murders raised suspicion. He had left town between 5 a.m. and 5:50 a.m. on June 10, 1912, mere hours before the gruesome discovery. In a shocking twist, Reverend Kelly had confessed to the murders in court, but his confession fell on deaf ears, as the jury dismissed it as dubious and unreliable. However, Reverend Kelly's obsession with the case and a series of letters he penned to the police, investigators, and the bereaved family fueled suspicions. Authorities grappled with the question of whether Kelly's mental instability had driven him to commit the heinous act or if he was merely an obsessed individual seeking attention. In 1914, 2 years after the murders, Kelly found himself in legal trouble once more, this time for sending obscene material through the mail. He was subsequently sent to St. Elizabeth's Hospital, the National Mental Hospital in Washington, D.C. Investigators once again speculated about his involvement in the Moore family's murder. In 1917, Reverend Kelly faced charges directly related to the Villisca murders. A confession was obtained from him, but it came after extended hours of interrogation, and Kelly would later retract it. After 2 separate trials, he was acquitted, and the question of who had perpetrated the Villisca Axe Murders remained unanswered. Reverend Kelly was far from the only suspect to cast a long shadow over Villisca. Various names and theories emerged over the years, each shedding a different light on the mysterious events of that fateful night. Frank F. Jones, a Villisca resident and an Iowa state senator, was suspected due to his strained relationship with Josiah Moore. Moore had once worked for Jones, but the two had parted ways after Moore opened his own store, reportedly siphoning business away from Jones, including a lucrative John Deere dealership. Rumors swirled of a possible affair between Moore and Jones' daughter-in-law, further fueling suspicions. Another suspect, William Blackie Mansfield, was believed to have been hired by Senator Jones to carry out the murders. Mansfield's dark history included a string of axe murders in various locations, and he was considered a cocaine-addicted serial killer. Detective James Newton Wilkerson, along with the Burns Detective Agency of Kansas City, linked Mansfield to several unsolved murders that bore uncanny similarities to the Villisca Axe Murders. However, payroll records provided Mansfield with an alibi that placed him in Illinois at the time of the Villisca murders, leading to his release. Yet another name entered the fray: Henry Lee Moore, a serial killer with a preference for using an axe. The murders of his mother and grandmother, committed several months after the Villisca murders, bore eerie similarities to the crimes in Villisca. This led to suspicions that a deranged axe murderer could be responsible for both sets of murders. In the web of suspects, even seemingly transient individuals were not spared. Andrew Sawyer, a man known for his obsession with the Villisca murders and his habit of sleeping fully clothed with an axe nearby, was interrogated but not charged. Paul Mueller, an immigrant with a dark past, was posthumously identified as a suspect by Bill James and his daughter Rachel McCarthy James in their book The Man from the Train. The Jameses proposed that Mueller was a serial killer responsible for a series of gruesome murders across the United States, including the Villisca Axe Murders. Their research pointed to a chilling pattern linking these crimes. As Villisca grappled with these suspicions and theories, the specter of the Villisca Axe Murders continued to haunt the town, casting a long and chilling shadow over this once idyllic community. To this day, the Villisca Axe Murders remain unsolved, a chilling testament to the dark mysteries that can shroud a seemingly peaceful town. The whispers of that dreadful night still echo through the corridors of time, a reminder that sometimes, even in the heart of tranquility, unspeakable horrors can find their home. The questions surrounding that night linger like a ghost, haunting the collective memory of Villisca and the world beyond. Who could commit such heinous acts? What was the motive behind the brutal slaying of an entire family and their young guests? The answers remain elusive, locked away in the darkest corners of a town's history. As Villisca continues to remember the Moore family and the Stillinger sisters, the story of their tragic end serves as a chilling cautionary tale. It is a stark reminder that even in the most peaceful of places, evil can lurk in the shadows, waiting to shatter the tranquility and innocence of a community forever. And so, the Villisca Axe Murders stand as a chilling enigma, a story of horror and darkness that will forever remain etched in the annals of true crime, a tale that defies explanation and continues to send shivers down the spines of all who dare to uncover its secrets. As we pour out the fire on yet another chilling tale, I want to extend my gratitude to all you brave souls who joined us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. Until then, stay curious, stay cautious, and stay safe. Remember, the night may be dark, but there's always a tale waiting to be uncovered. Good night, and pleasant nightmares. Signing off from Creepy Tales and Curiosities.